What's up, everyone? This is Jeff Shansky. Welcome to the GenXecutive Health Show. This is where I help all you Gen Xers make lifelong changes to your health, cut through the BS, and get you on track for the rest of your life, because it's never too late to make positive changes to your health. So today, this episode is going to be the base for what you can take moving forward, no matter what the topic is. And we're talking about principles. So no matter what it is, we're going to go through the different categories and how to apply different principles so that you stay on track. Because this is really where it comes down to where most people screw up. We always try to look at, and I'm guilty of it, we always try to look at the details first instead of looking at the big picture. And the key to it all is starting with your principles. So today we're going to talk about different categories for each principle. Of course, we're going to talk about nutrition. Of course, we're going to talk about fitness and movement. We're going to talk about mindset. We'll talk a little bit about relationships, finance, because no matter what, even if you think money's important or it's not important, you still have to have a plan. And then finally, recharge and relax, because too many people think you have to be go, go, go all the time. And the reality is you need to find time for just relaxing and having fun. So with that said, let's get into it. So we're going to start, when it comes to principles and it comes to health especially, we always tend to look at the details when it comes to nutrition. And while that's important, we have to start with what your principles are. And everyone is going to be a little bit different. So I'm going to give you mine, and I want you to think about what's important for you for each of these principles. Okay? So when we talk about nutrition, you're going to always, no matter what, if you're trying to lose weight, if you're trying to build muscle, if you're not trying to do anything except eat healthy, your principles are going to stay the same. You're going to change and adjust the details, but the principles will stay the same. So what do I mean by that? What I mean is, when it comes to nutrition, for me, it's all about protein and produce. So no matter what the goal, my daily goal, my weekly goal, it's always to eat protein and eat some kind of produce. So fruits and veggies for the most part. Now that is going to fit in with whatever it is my goal could be at the time. So it doesn't matter. If I'm trying to lose weight, I'm still eating protein and produce. So for example, right now, protein means my sources are calories divided by 10 need to be 10 or less. So if you have 100 calories, your protein needs to be 10 grams. 200 calories, 20 grams. And that generally helps keep the calories down. So it doesn't matter if you're talking about, well, I'm cutting out gluten, or I'm cutting out dairy, or I'm not going to eat sweets, or I'm not going to drink alcohol anymore, or shorten for a short period of time. Your principles are going to stay consistent. So no matter what, if I'm trying to lose weight, it's still protein and produce. If I am training for, it could be anything, you're training for a marathon, it's still protein and produce. And from there, you can start to get into what that means. So you can adjust your protein, your produce, meaning that your carbs and fats may fluctuate, your protein probably not so much. But for me, the principle is protein and produce. So think about that. What would be your high level nutrition principles where no matter what, it's always going to remain the same? That's the key. So whether you're on a diet, which I hate that word, but if you're on a diet and it's short term, the way to be successful is to stick with the principles. So let's get into number two. Number two would be fitness and movement. Now, I included movement into this because everyone's a little bit different here. So my principles when it comes to fitness is strength training and weightlifting. It's the fountain of youth. I'll say it 1,000 times. You need to lift weights in some form or fashion. It doesn't mean you have to go to the gym, although I don't know people that go to the gym and don't find some kind of success. When it comes to fitness and movement, you have to come up with your principles. So my principles when it comes to fitness and movement are strength training and walking. And again, if you're training for a marathon, it's going to be a little bit different. If you're just trying to be healthy, you're still going to have to come up with something that's consistent. So for me, fitness means strength training. Currently, I strength train 4 days a week. The sweet spot for me is 4 days a week. A lot of people can do 3 full body days. A lot of people can do 5 days. 6 seems a little bit overkill unless you're training for something, some type of sport or event. Movement could be cardio. It could be any type of movement. For me, it's steps. So walking is really the secret sauce when it comes to feeling good. A lot of people don't realize that walking and moving is like oiling your joints. It's basically like the oil can for the Tin Man in the Wizard of Oz. That's really where walking plays a huge part. And there's tons of benefits beyond that. And a lot of people think, well, if I'm going to walk or I'm going to run, I'm going to lose weight. It's really not about losing weight or anything weight related. It's just way more overall health. And so my principles for fitness and movement is to strength train and to walk. And again, that could change. The details could be maybe right now it's 4 days a week strength train and 10,000 steps a day. It could move at some point to 3 days a week strength train. Could be 7,000 steps a day. It could be some days I'm going to get 7,000 steps a day. Some days I might go for a run, maybe ride, the bike on the trail. You have to come up with what your principles are. For me, it's strength train and move. Currently, it's move 10,000 steps. So however I get that, that's what I get. So it doesn't matter, again, what your goals are. You have to come up with your principles so that you can stay consistent, right? So for my fitness and movement, it's strength train and steps. Moving on to mindset. Mindset is overused in a lot of ways now. It's really that term that you hear and you're like, what does it even mean really? For me, mindset means to be grateful and to find a lesson. Now, a lot of us that go through tough times, when you're going through it, it's hard to find the lesson. But you're almost always better off when you go through something challenging when you find the lesson in it. And that way you don't repeat it, right? So mindset for me, my principles around mindset is to be grateful and to find the lesson. A lot of people say they're grateful, but they don't act like it. So really, a lot of the mindset is just like fitness. It's repetitions, and it's not about, hey, I'm going to practice this mindset for a week and all of a sudden I'm going to be a monk. It's not like that at all. You have to put in the reps, and eventually it will start to be subconscious. So for me, mindset, you have to be grateful. You have to find the lesson in the challenge. Principles around relationships. Let's talk about relationships. And I'm by no means an expert, and I struggle in a lot of cases. So with relationships, to me, it's all about two things. It's communication and boundaries. And no matter what you're talking about here, it could be your marriage, it could be your kids, it could be relationships at work. It's most of the problems and challenges revolve around communication or lack thereof and boundaries. where you're just not setting proper boundaries. And trust me, I'm very guilty of this. Um, it could be consistently one thing. It could be with one person. It could be with a group of people. You could be great with boundaries at work and terrible in your personal life, or vice versa. So when it comes to relationships, think about the principles around your relationships. And if just think about a challenging relationship, and is it communication or lack thereof? Or is it boundaries where you just let people walk all over you? It's okay to tell people not to do something or not to talk a certain way. It's difficult because that means challenging conversations. But when it comes to principles, relationships, you have to think about those things, in my opinion. And that's really what grounds me with relationships is make sure you're communicating, you're on the same page, and continually work on it. It's not perfect, and it's something you can't necessarily control in a lot of ways. So think about what you can control, which are boundaries. So the next principle, which is important to everybody, regardless of what you think, is finance. So think about money in a way of long term, just like losing weight and keeping it off, just like getting in shape, just like building relationships. Finance is something that is important to everyone because money does not really mean happiness, but having more of it and relying less on the ability to earn it when you already have a plan. So that could mean investing. That could mean investing in the stock market. That could mean real estate. It could mean crypto, which I know nothing about. But you have to come up with principles. So principles for me when it comes to finance is, one, you have to spend less than you make. Two, you have to invest in what you believe in for the long term. So if you're investing in the stock market, you have to invest pretty consistently over time. And it's the time value of money. So my personal financial principles is to really invest a small amount consistently. So instead of waiting for a windfall, waiting for a lump sum, and then not knowing what to do with it, you come up with a plan and you execute the plan. So finance is no different than any of the other categories. You just have to determine, well, where am I going to put my money? Am I going to invest it in index funds or the stock market? Am I going to invest it in some kind of real estate? Am I going to invest it in a business? Am I going to invest it in myself? But plan for it, categorize it, and execute it. So financial principles really are they're not unique in that you have to believe in it and you have to execute it. But not doing anything is the wrong answer. That I can tell you. If there's a right answer, it's believing in something, investing in it consistently over time, and you'll be fine. But not doing anything is not a principle. It's not a plan. So you really have to figure out where you want to prioritize your financial future. And so it all ties together here. And really, just like anything, find experts that you trust and you believe in that will help you develop your principles. And then finally, the last category, and we could talk about 20 different categories, but these are really top of mind. The last category might be the most important, and it's ways to recharge, relax, leisure, because we always talk about grind and how much do we work and how little do we sleep, which is all ridiculous. We still need time for ourselves. We need time to connect with people. And so from a principle standpoint, the way that I recharge and relax is one, you have to laugh every day. You have to laugh every day. So whether it's watching Seinfeld or your favorite show or even your favorite clips on YouTube, you have to find time to laugh. You have to. And then another is music. Music is extremely important to me, and so it's critical. I find myself when I don't listen to music for a couple of days, I start to just get into my mood is not as good, just to be quite honest. And so you have to find time to listen to music, what you like, even if it's a few minutes. But really, that needs to be a priority. For me, it's a priority. You have to figure out when you're going to do it. So whether it's going to the gym, in the car, whether you have a collect records and you want to hang out and jam, that's important. So don't think you're wasting time. And so while I categorize this all as one, you can break this out into leisure versus recharging. Another way to recharge is to get a massage. You can relax by meditating. Alone time is important to a lot of people. You don't want too much alone time, but you need some of that in the day, whether that's exercising or just you hanging out, reading, something that gives you your energy back. And then, of course, connection. So again, you don't want to spend too much time alone. You need that connection. So whether it's with your spouse, your girlfriend, boyfriend, your friends, your family, you need that connection. And that also gives you energy. So really, this category of recharging, relaxing is to give you your energy back because, of course, we just talked about these other categories that are going to drain your energy. And a lot of times, if you are grateful and you're working out and you're exercising and your relationships are good, you might not feel too bad, but that's not necessarily reality. You absolutely need time to recharge yourself no matter what the situation. Even if everything's going great, you're still draining yourself of energy. So you need the recharge. And coming up with principles to say, no matter what, I'm going to do this. I'm going to always laugh. I'm always going to listen to music. I'm going to recharge myself with some meditation, with some reading, whatever that is for you is important. And remember, the key is here, it's always customized to you. It's not what works for me or for your friends. It's what works for you is the right answer here. So hopefully this gives you some food for thought, and we'll dive into all of these categories much deeper. But I really wanted to talk about principles in general because that's where it starts. So before you start looking at changing your diet and getting all into the details as far as, well, how many calories do I need to eat? Should I cut out carbs? Should I cut out gluten? Should I take out dairy? And you start to really go down that path, think about your principles. What will work from a high level and then drill down. So hopefully this helps, and I'll see you on the next one.